Thanks, everybody. It's like having all the crickets playing in the background. You're the one. But anyways, yes, my name is Alicia, and I'm with the Prodigy group. My topic is on seeing ghosts. After all, we are a ghost hunting group, so I think it's kind of prevalent to the situation. A lot of people come to us and say that they've seen things, they've heard things, but no one is able to really explain to them why they've seen or heard things. You know, how does this really happen, other than the fact that it does? So I'm going to try to explain 3 different sort of ways about how you can see a ghost. Okay, I don't have the PowerPoint to go with this, so bear with me. Many people come to us and say they've seen a ghost. We go out on investigations, but no one is able to explain to them exactly how they see it. So, basically, how do us mere mortals see these ghosts from another realm or another dimension? In order to answer such a question, we must first understand the basic principles of physics. So I'm going to give you a little kind of physics lecture 101 here. The physics lecture begins with particles. Everyone knows that we are made of billions of tiny little particles, and they're all bouncing around everywhere. I'm bouncing around with particles. The stage here is bouncing around with particles. So in order to see these things, something has to bounce light off of these particles, or the phenomenon has to emit a light. In order for us to see these ghostly apparitions, they must do first one of 2 things. Either A, reflect the light, or B, emit the light. And I'm going to explain that. Just as I'm standing before you now, you, the audience, can see me because I am standing here and the light rays are coming down on me and they're bouncing off. They bounce off because my body is made of trillions of tiny particles that have weight and mass, and thus create the density of my body. So I look solid, but I'm really not. If these apparitions are to be seen by us, they must first be made of some type of particular structure that reflects light. So although these spirits or ghosts or whatever they are might be from some other worldly place, for us to see them here on Earth, in our world, they're going to have to abide by the physical laws of this realm, at least, for us to see them, or we couldn't see them. Many visual accounts describe their encounters as being somewhat of a translucent or misty-like. Their particles could be loosely held together, allowing this appearance to manifest. For example, you can take a handful of glitter and throw it up in the air. And we've probably all messed with glitter before, especially for kids. So pretend each little particle of glitter is an atom or a molecule. You can throw them up in the air, right? There's a little piece of glitter here, a little piece of glitter here, a piece of glitter here. So they're loosely spaced. The density isn't very much. But yet you can still see the light reflecting on them. So that might be why a lot of the situations people don't see something, quote-unquote, kind of like rock solid walking by, but they see something more of a mist or semi-translucent. And that could be just because the particulate matter of that entity is loosely defined. Other phenomenons have described balls of light or self-illuminating apparitions. So we're going to switch gears from the entity reflecting the light, which then we can pick up with our eye, because other instances have them emitting light itself. Many have witnessed large balls of light floating around their homes or through their yards. Some have even seen demonstrating various colors of blue, green, red, and so on. What they have in common is that they somehow are generating light independent of any outside source. To be honest, though, we don't really know how this can happen. There are many theories that the light can be emitted from electromagnetic energy or even some form of self-contained nuclear reaction, be it fission or fusion. But we really just don't know. No one's ever walked up to a glowing ball and taken a little test off of it. What do we know? What we do know is that in order for us to see them with our human eyes, these ghostly sights have to demonstrate and be rooted in some kind of earthly property that is based on our principles of physics. Now, the next idea of how we can see a ghost is not with our physical eye, but with something else. Okay, here's a little test I want you guys to do. A lot of people come to us and they say, I was in a room, there was 15, 20 people, and I saw this thing in the back of the room walk across, and no one else saw it, and I know I'm not crazy, I saw what I saw, right? So how can one person see something and no one else in that room sees it? Okay, obviously if the apparition is behaving in the two prior mentioned ways, then everyone in the room would see it. They wouldn't see it, however, if the viewer was seeing the ghost through their mind's eye. This is also often referred to as the third eye. Basically speaking, the ghost is using some type of telekinesis to beam a signal, or in this case, a mental picture, into your mind. This might sound weird, but close your eyes for a moment. So if everyone could just close their eyes real quick. Okay, think of your favorite photograph, or maybe a favorite vacation site. Put that image into your head. Okay, now everybody open your eyes. Now you remember your eyes were closed, right? But I bet you, everyone, you saw that picture in your mind, although you didn't see it in your physical eye. You saw that nice white sanded beach with the palm trees, okay? But you didn't see it with your physical eye. You probably are still wondering, though, how do your mind's eye or your third eye pick up on what you did? There's a couple different explanations. One is that you might just be more susceptible or sensitive to such occurrences, consciously or even subconsciously. Basically, your mind is a window that is open. In some people's minds, their window is a little bit more closed than other people's minds. You can also think of yourself as a TV station. All things alive or inanimate exist a certain vibrational level. What I mean by this is that everything has a molecular structure, which we talked about, comprised of tiny particles, electrons, neutrons, atoms, and so forth. These particles are constantly moving around, vibrating at certain speeds that are unique to that entity. Now, these vibrations give off what we call frequencies, and these frequencies give us a unique TV channel, so to speak. That's why when you turn it to channel 2, you don't see the picture that's on channel 7, because they're on a different wavelength. So in order for this ghost to beam a mental picture into your mind of itself, it might be vibrating on the same frequency or the same channel as what you're vibrating on. What the theory can't explain, though, is if the lucky or unlucky viewer, depending on how you see it, was purposely the intended receiver of the apparition, or if they were merely an accidental witness to that apparition. A third way of seeing ghosts. Lastly, some are still thinking, well, I didn't see it with my physical eye, I didn't see it with my mind's eye. Instead, I saw it only after I took a picture with my camera. This is a widely often recorded phenomenon. How is this that the camera could pick it up, but I couldn't? Has anyone here seen close-up magicians or any type of sleight-of-hand type acts? Let me give you an example. A magician has a deck of cards, but they're all red. He shuffles them around real quick, does his little thing, and then all of a sudden, bam, pops out a blue card. Well, you were 3 feet away from him, right? You watched him the whole time. You didn't see him put a blue card in there, so how all of a sudden did a blue card slip in there? Well, lucky for you, your buddy was there with his trusty video camera and videotaped the whole thing. So you watch the tape back in slow motion and frame by frame. There you see it, the magician pulling out blue card out of his sleeve. He moved so fast that you couldn't see it with your eyes, because the hand is moving faster. The same principle can be applied to the ghostly apparitions that are only seen when they turn up on film. These ghosts and their tiny particles are moving so fast that we simply don't see them until the camera catches a glimpse one frame by frame, just like a videotape is the same as the magician. They are there the entire time right in front of us, but because they are moving at such a high rate of speed, we don't even see it. We don't even pick it up. So let me explain this. So how can a ghost emit light, have mass, which is have particles, have energy and motion, and we not see it? Basically speaking, you can only see and process so much given information at a time. This is called flicker fusion frequency. This is a real theory, nothing made up here. Flicker fusion frequency. It's kind of like Jason was talking earlier about the shutter speeds on a camera. It's basically the shutter speed of your eyes. The human eye can sense a change in light approximately 60 times a second. Our brains then process the given information from our eyes, reducing the input speed to 16 to 24 frames a second. So it diminishes more than half. We see basically like a flip book. Although it looks like this is a big stream of vision, our eyeballs are actually going click, 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 and then it's our brain that puts it together. So how does flicker fusion frequency apply to seeing ghosts? The ghost or entity, if made of light energy, flickering faster than our eyes can process it, so we don't see it. However, if a camera that has a shutter speed much faster than the eye, then it could be possible to pick it up. Also, if one uses a long exposure time on a camera, if you've ever done like night, camera, you might have a 30-second, 45-second exposure. Well, that's not clicking, clicking, clicking. That's a constant exposure rate. Unlike the human eye that takes a picture or frame, stops, takes another picture, stops, takes another picture, the camera, or the exposure of the camera, is the sum of the light emitted over time, and that makes the difference. And to give you some ratios here, we may think that we see pretty quick and our brains are pretty speedy, but we're actually, as humans, we're very slow. A theater movie reel, like you see at the movies, runs 24 frames a second, which is slower than us. And that's like, oftentimes if you are at a movie theater, you can sometimes kind of see like a flicker in the movies. That's because your eye is actually going faster than the movie reel. However, video cameras in the USA, because there's different standards around the world, Europe has like a different standard. A United States video camera does about 60 frames a second. So now we're starting to get higher than what the human eye can take in. To give you an example with other animals, an octopus sees 70 times a second. A dog sees 70 times a second. A cat sees 80 times a second. A bee sees 200 times a second. And a fly, the reason it looks like you're going to swat it and it buzzes away on you so quickly is because it can see 300 times a second. So to you, the fly swatter is actually kind of going down in slow motion because it sees so much faster than we do. So there's 3 different reasons. Also, however, if we don't see them with our mind's eye or physical eye, this is why we bring all this equipment with us. That's why as investigators, we bring electronic instruments with us to act as our eyes. We bring gauge meters that pick up magnetic field strengths. We also bring tri-field meters, which pick up actually 3 different spectrums of electromagnetic energies. And we also bring Geiger counters that detect radiation and some electromagnetic energies. And of course, if your Geiger counter needle buries, you probably want to get out of there. So these are just different ways when people come up to us and they say, well, I've seen a ghost, or there was a bunch of other people in the room, I was the only one, how'd that happen, or how is it I didn't see anything, but I took a picture, and just magically there it was. Those are some actual physics principles that help to explain this. It's not all hocus pocus. There's actually tangible science into why these occurrences happen. We don't know all of them, but we can apply some of our physics to them. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll be over there at our little prodigy table. But there you go. That's how you can see ghosts in a variety of ways.